Hey, it's Joe. I've got another video for you. Another question. And this one is from Janet Simpson from Naperville, Illinois. She says, Joe, I'm more nervous about filling out contracts than just about anything else. I keep thinking I'm going to do something wrong and end up in jail or in a lawsuit. I've been using your techniques to find buyers and sellers, and those have been simple. And maybe I just need to do it before I become comfortable with it. Can you give me some advice on filling out forms and doing contracts? Well, first of all, Janet, any fear can be overcome by knowledge and experience. As soon as you start learning this stuff, it'll become a lot easier for you. I have one student who's bought tens of millions of dollars worth of properties, and when she filled out her very first form, I remember getting an email from her, and she said it took her 3 hours to fill out her first purchase agreement to buy a property. She said she agonized over it, read through it over and over again, trying to figure out what to fill it out. And she said, Joe, will you take a look at it for me? She faxed it over to me. She was a mentor student. She faxed it over to me. I took a look at it. You did it exactly the way I taught you to. You did a good job. She went and she presented it. She made money on the deal, and she started doing them over and over again. She told me that now it takes her 5 minutes to fill out that same form. So it becomes easier, and her fear is completely vanished over the amount of deals that she's done and her abilities to be able to do this. Now, keep in mind, I'm not an attorney. I don't even play one on TV. I've had a lot of experience as a real estate investor, and we've been playing with the contracts that I've got, and I've got contracts for everything that I teach. Different contracts for different types of purchase agreements, depending on the type of structure that you use, whether it's subject to a multi-mortgage or land contract or a contract for deed or cash offers, assignable cash offers, lease options, all those different types of deals we've got different purchase agreements for. We've got different disclosures for each one of those different types of deals depending on the property, and whether you're working with a buyer or whether you're working with a seller. If you're working with a buyer, you're going to write the offer differently. You're going to use a different structure. And as you learn these, you don't have to be overwhelmed by all this stuff all at once. All you need to do is learn one technique, one thing, one process, one contract, which I teach, by the way, from day one, so that you don't get overwhelmed. I teach this at the buying event. I go through the contracts with you. I read through them. I tell you, fill in this here. This is why this is here. This is what you say to your buyer. This is what you say to your seller when you explain the contract to them. Here's where they sign. It's very straightforward. This is not rocket science. And once you understand it, it won't be difficult for you for very long. I call my program the safety net method for a reason. I believe that your contracts are the things that set your expectations with the buyers and sellers and investors that you work with. And you want to set expectations properly. You want them to know what can go wrong, what could go right, what to expect from you personally, and you want to follow through with the things that you promise. You also want them to know what their risk is in the transaction. That's what the disclosure is all about. Make sure they understand what the potential problems are. So when and if those problems arise, then you can go back to them and say, look, this problem has arisen. I've got to deal with this. I need your help in this. I apologize for it happening. And it keeps them from filing a lawsuit most of the time. I haven't been in a lawsuit for a long, long time simply because I set expectations properly. And maybe I should knock on wood when I say that, because when you're in business, you can get into a lawsuit in any time from anybody. But I think that what I've tried to accomplish with my business and the things, my real estate investing and my teaching program and all these other things, I've tried to make it so that I set expectations properly with the people that I work with, so that they won't be able to come back to me and say later, Joe, you told me this, when in fact it is this. You lied to me. So if you have the right contracts, if you have the right paperwork, you can go back to them and say, well, remember what I said in that disclosure that you signed right here? You actually put your initials next to that paragraph. It talks about this issue. And, I'm sorry you've forgotten that you signed it, but you signed it right here. and it stops the problems right away. So you got it the right contracts, it's gonna make that happen. Knowing how to fill them out will take away the fear. Knowing that you've got contracts that have been used over and over again from many places all over the country, you know, in many ways, it will also give you a little bit of confidence that it can be done. We've also had these contracts looked at by many people, because I've had lots of people, even in my program, say, Joe, you know, I'm a little uncomfortable with this. One of my friends told me that this might not be illegal to do it this way. And I say, well, stop right there. You know, what I want you to do is go to an attorney, a real estate attorney, instead of just a friend who might be an investor or might think he's an investor. Why don't you go over to a real estate attorney and have them look at the contract, tell them exactly how you're doing it, and ask them if it's legal and if it's done properly. And if there's a problem with them, these are for my mentor students, if there's a problem with me, I'll get on the phone with your attorney and I'll explain to them. Because some attorneys don't understand what we're doing. They don't understand, they've never heard of the things that we're doing. So as soon as I explain it to them, they go, oh yeah, that makes sense. I understand exactly what you're doing now. I didn't understand the verbiage you were using or the terminology you were using. So as soon as we explain it to attorneys, we always have them say, it's not a problem. Even when we've gotten into issues, and we've gotten into issues a couple of times with these things, we've always been able to go to the attorney, explain what we're doing, and they'll say, yeah, you're doing it the right way. There's no question that what you're doing is legal, it's put together right. Every once in a while they'll say, you know, you could change the wording here, you could change the wording there, and a lot of times we do change the wording. You know, we try to learn as we go, and we try to modify the contracts and change them as we go, and we try to pay attention to what's happening in the world of real estate investing. So anyway, we've got, for subject 2, we've got 6 different contracts and disclosures that you need to use. The for rent method requires 3 different contracts. Assignable cash offers require a purchase agreement, a disclosure, an assignment form. Land contracts can be done with one form, you know, unless you want to protect yourself. I use 4 different forms with that, which are written specifically for that kind of land contract deal. I don't do land contracts just to buy properties. I usually use them to sell properties in specific circumstances, and I want to know I can get those properties back without going through a foreclosure if that buyer defaults. So I have a contract set up for that purpose with a quitclaim deed back to me. And I know I'm kind of getting esoteric here on some of these terms, but I'll teach you all these things specifically for the specific types of deals that we're doing. Now, you can buy forms online for a lot of these different things. You can buy purchase agreements online, you can buy deeds online. Some of these land contracts, you can buy them online for just a few bucks. You don't have to buy my program to do it. But if you want the experience that I've had, and you want the safety of the things that I've done, then you have to get those contracts through me, and I'll show you how to use each of those programs, how to fill them out, and how to make them work so that you feel comfortable doing that and explaining them to your buyers, sellers, investors before you ever have to get it in front of them to do that. So your comfort level will be much higher. Again, it comes back to fear is diminished by education and experience. And those are the things that I'll help you get through so that you can be a successful real estate investor. All right, hope that helps. Thanks now.